Welcome to the Log Time Podcast. Well, it finally happened. Our mystery garbage list finally gave us something truly deserving of the title Garbage. Death March to the Parallel World Rhapsody. To say the least, we have a field day tearing this one apart, so this is not an episode to miss. Get in here.
I am going to try to have as much energy on this as I can.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm running on fumes. So.
I mean, we're kind of at a point where a lot of people are just kind of running on fumes just in general.
Yeah, yesterday I even took a day off of work, and for the reasoning why I just said because I need a break from race riots in 2020.
And 2020 has been a hell of a thing so far. It's weird that it feels like it's only June. It's just it's an odd space to be in.
It's a space I don't want to be in.
I think most everyone would agree with you there. I don't think there's anyone that would look at, what we've had so far and say like, yeah, I'd do 2020 again. Good times, man. This has been a vacation.
I'd rather just undo everything.
Yeah, it'd be great. I would love to do a reroll. Just pass. This was a bad seed. I want to start again. Let's do a new run. Let's go. Yeah.
I mean, at least I'm not like horribly exhausted and falling asleep. I guess dying underneath my desk.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that overall, not working at a tech company and, overworking yourself to the point where you haven't bathed and you haven't slept and then you wake up in a fantasy world. Though, to be fair, that doesn't sound like a bad gig, honestly.
There is a positive that comes out of that compared to the normal negative, which is you overexert yourself and just fucking die at work.
Yeah, for sure. That would suck shit. But here in... Oh, God. The full title is Death March to the Parallel World Rhapsody? Did I get it?
You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Death March to the Parallel World Rhapsody, which, by the way, I don't know what the Rhapsody part is, but whatever.
I wondered that the whole fucking time.
They were just fans of Rhapsody in Blue. I mean, it's a great song. I can understand.
Because I was just like, where is music going to play into this? At all. Is this supposed to be a great symphonic work of literature, of anime? Is this, is the author of the original light novel an absolute savant?
The answer is no. But
yes. Yes. It's a resounding no.
Not only that, I was wondering what's the parallel world part of it? That would be that they're the same, right?
Yeah, because the idea of parallel worlds is they are parallel. They're two things that are running concurrent to one another. That seems to imply that, most things are the same, but there might be some branching off sort of stuff. And so I'm not really sure at what point in human history we branched off into the parallel isekai MMO world. That's just a fanfic put together of all the different games and shit that our main boy Sato has ever made in his life. It's not a parallel world. It's you could call it a lot of things, but not that.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just my thoughts about the title,
Yeah, my thoughts about the title in my notes are: this is a shit garbage name for a series.
Wow. Okay, you wrote it a lot more bitterly than I did. I was just like...
It's bad. There's nothing enticing about this.
No, especially because, it's really misleading that the very beginning of this title is Death March, which I thought I was going to be in for some fucking edge.
Yeah.
I'm happily surprised that was not the case, but
yeah, I mean, outside of Japanese work culture for these kinds of things, it can be very, very misleading.
Yeah.
But even then, to he's It's really economizing the title, though, if you really think about it. Like they're really making the most of this space because it is telling you everything you need to know about the show just in the title, but it does it in a bad way. But it's all there if you dig through it, but it's bad.
Yeah, for instance, I did look up the generic definition of Rhapsody, not the music definition, and an effusively enthusiastic or ecstatic expression. So it's supposed to be happy. Yay!
I don't know if I'd give them that much credit for that. I don't know about that, dude. I still think it's supposed to do with music, but it's just not implemented well. It's like Sword Art Online Big Gun Symphony or something like that.
Big Gun Symphony. I'm glad that's not an actual SAO one.
Isn't that Gun Gale Online?
Yeah, but that's not what the title you said. But whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Before I guess we get really into it, I just want to say, Zach, good job on getting a mystery garbage roll. After we just talked on the last podcast where you said that, I hope it's not a bad one. I think you said that yourself. And then you ended up getting something that you saw the first episode of and you said, God, no.
Oh, no.
That's some sweet karma.
I gave it 2 episodes.
Oh, okay.
I gave it 2 whole episodes. I was like, okay, I'll give this a shot. Yeah, I think I tried watching this as it was airing, and no. And after giving it a full go, it's still a pretty hard no. For a lot of reasons.
This show is, like, at its best, acceptable.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but it also does not do anything interesting.
Okay, well, you can say that, and you're free to have that opinion. However, I'm not going to say that everything about Death March is shit garbage. A lot of it is, but I do at least want to acknowledge some of the stuff that is actually good about it. I think that one of the coolest things this show does is how it implements the UI in the show and in the game. One of my favorite things about the entire show is that, we get some first-person looks from Sato when he, kind of gets into the game world, and we can kind of see his heads-up display and everything like that. And fine, whatever, that's okay, I guess. I'm not really that enthralled by that because, what fucking VR MMO series hasn't done here's your health bar and mana and stuff, duh. But the neat thing about this is how it keeps a running tally of notifications for stuff like used X skill, or you gained X item in this drop, or here's the whole log of recent events and such, and how it is kind of seamlessly integrated into the show. It's really satisfying and interesting to see, when Sato gets hurt for the first time, he registers, he gets these 2 skills, fear resistance and pain resistance. And it's really cool to see those things, come up in real time in, the actual situations where those would be, germane to what he's doing. I thought that's pretty cool, because I personally haven't seen that in any other series like this. Have you all? Is that something I've just missed, or?
It shows up in Beaufry, but it's not as well done, I feel like, because in this one it's very unobtrusive. It's you just get a little ting and then it pops up and goes away, and it's and you don't need somebody to sit you down and explain it to you or something like that. It's no, you get it immediately.
Yeah, it's very fun. It's very interesting in that way, where it feels very easy to grasp onto from the get-go of it. That's cool. Flip side.
Sorry. I just wanted to say that I thought what was actually really cool about the UI, maybe this is just me, but there were a lot of shots where Sato would have the UI up and you would be looking at it from a third person perspective, and it would still show him with the UI up and
and somebody would
I thought that was kind of interesting.
It was cool, and they always blurred it just a little bit too.
Yeah.
Or like a bloom filter or something. But yeah, it was. I liked that a lot as well.
Yeah, and it tracked to his head because like somebody would catch his attention, he would turn his head, and then you would see the whole UI actually track in like in that environment.
Yeah,
that was pretty. I like.
Can't really think of a lot of instances where they like that. You actually get like the tracking of the UI like that. Yeah, and I think what Zach was about to get into was the downside of this UI, which. Okay, so
there's a lot of downsides to it.
Okay, so one of the problems I have with the UI, and granted, all the stuff you guys said already about the skill stuff is really cool. That's cool for all of about 3 episodes to me.
Yes.
Because what this show likes to do is it's like, oh, okay, so we do this now. So now we're just gonna do this for everything.
There's a skill for fucking everything.
Like I got to a point where I had to think, okay, like, first of all, why the hell does this game have this many skills? And second of all, like, there's just, like, what's the point of having skills if everything's a skill?
Yeah, it's completely untenable.
And I'm like, oh my god.
Because you have to wonder, because, I mean, like, there are skills for, like, just a few I noted out in episode 3. Abduction, fabrication, false accusation. All of these skills also have like 10 levels of proficiency and mastery.
Right.
Like, how many fucking skill points do you get on a level up? Like, what kind of skill economy does this game have where like tripping or like needlework or something else are all skills? Like, this is such a weird, like, niche kind of build sort of thing where there's no fucking way that anyone could actually like efficiently do any of this stuff. It's absurd.
Yeah. You also have and it's the same exact notification, so this also happens a lot. You also get titles in the game, but the titles genuinely and actually mean nothing. So I don't even know why that's a part of the system or why that's necessary, especially when a lot of the titles are just like you became a victim of somebody or like something like that. Right. It's like, why does that matter? Like, why are we keeping track of that?
Yeah, Gray Merchant for like maybe hustling someone into a deal, and he's like, I didn't even really like, I wasn't even that bad in this negotiation.
Why would you even display that title?
Yeah.
Right?
Like, why would you say, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm a merchant that's kind of shady? Like, why would you put that over your head?
And that's the thing, too, is that, like, it also doesn't matter because no one else can see his UI.
Right. Because I think something that we're still getting caught up in is that we're still talking about this as if it's a game, but it's literally not. It's not like there's other players here. It's literally a whole other world where people that get reincarnated or summoned into this world just have a UI interface.
And they can't like see each other as far as we can tell so far. So like,
right, yeah. So I mean, it's a very solitary thing. So it's kind of fucking stupid. But along those same lines, like I thought they were going to do something interesting with the title system for a point there, because when big old Bone Daddy, the old undead king, kidnaps Mia, the little elf princess.
Yeah.
He kept talking about like, I can only be like harmed by the hero or a magical weapon. And he kept talking about like, you know, well, you've already done this thing or that thing or the other. So like, you know, maybe he'll get a hero status and then he could fight and kill the undead thing. Because there was a point where he was fighting some big enemy, and he went through and was like, "Oh yeah, I have a title called God Killer or something like that."
Yeah, that was in
and he switched.
Labyrinth. Yeah,
and he switched the title in there, and it actually did something. So like, they theoretically have some effect, but it seems very like fast and loose.
Yeah,
and it's weird.
It's so weird. Like, I gotta ask who designed this game, because this is a very strange game, honestly.
It is, because I mean, like, not even just stuff like that, but even getting into the magic system is odd, because after 12 episodes, I still have no idea how the magic system fucking works, aside from like a very rudimentary like guesstimation, like, it's kind of like working with a programming language. You just copy and paste certain parts of this thing into a sequence, and then it just works. I'm like,
it looked a little more complicated than that to me.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Well, like, that's the way it was explained. It was like,
I know,
just grab the different sequences, and I'm like, absolutely fucking not, you gremlin. And cool, I can do all these things so we can get spells like soft wash and dry, because of course, we have people from the Kinmore clan who, come from a long line of washing machines. So, like...
Well, and that also confused me, too, because, like, for him to learn how to create his own spell and make it the washing machine spell, apparently it was the most complicated bullshit that he had to do. And it was like, why is that the hardest thing this fucker has to go through?
Yeah, because he couldn't even do soft wash or dry. He had to create bubble wash, the spell. And
yeah,
I'm like,
especially whenever we've already
why?
seen, like, a shady mage that, like, put them in a back alley and was like, alright, I'm gonna clean your dress. Like...
Can you imagine, like, you create an MMO and you have all these cool spells like Meteor Storm and, like, you know, like Wind Blade or whatever, and then, like, but you know what the most complicated magic is? Washing your clothing. Like, could you just fucking imagine that? Like, for 10 seconds? What kind of demographic does that appeal to? I don't... Like, if this was a game, like, I don't know. Like, that's weird. Whatever.
But I guarantee you, teenage boys would love this, because, like, there's a spell called Blow, and you're fucking lying to yourself if a bunch of teenage boys do not just go around and just saying, blow me! Just casting blow on each other.
Yeah, I could see that. Never mind.
Oh my god. Oh, speaking of blow me, oh my god, Sato is so fucking horny. Like,
holy shit.
There are no less than, I think, 3 separate times where this dude just gets laid by some random woman for, like, no real reason.
Yeah,
like,
it always took me off guard.
Yeah, like,
because I was
when
like,
he
did
just,
that
like,
just happen? What?
He buys around for, like, the folks at this one tavern, and he's like, oh wait, this also doubles as a love hotel. And this waitress just shoves him onto a bed, and, cut to black, and next morning it's like, oh, this dude got a blowy. and more. Cool, I guess.
It was also extremely uncomfortable having a insanely horny 13-year-old girl as a companion in this show. Oh, God.
Like, it's just... I mean, like, at the very least, he made a point to be like, I'm like, essentially Jarl's guardian. That is completely, like, morally a no-no.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not going there.
Yeah, but it was just, I guess the random, the random encounters elsewhere were supposed to be a balance for that or something. Like, it's just weird.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was so weird. I don't even know what was going on with that, but it was just all really, really, I don't want to say weird, but because it still was, but like just really bizarre in terms of like the kind of show that this is. Like, it kind of just comes out of nowhere. Like, we're in Fantasyland, and then it's like, what? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's like, and it's also it's also like weirdly placed in there because, for instance, he's like, oh, one of the girls isn't feeling too good. I'm gonna go get some medicine, and then 2 guys are just like, yo, you're gonna go drinking with us, and then he ends up at a brothel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
that's
and
how that happens.
He leaves the brothel, and he was like, well, that was weird, and I'm like, yeah, it was.
Because it's like, what exactly does it do for the story other than like show one other way for like readers to really envy this nice guy, quote unquote, that just like gets essentially anything he wants?
Yeah.
It's just bizarre. The only thing that makes any sense is that like the author was like, yeah, I want this scene in there. Just, this is for me. I'm writing this for me. I don't know, man.
Well, I do notice on AnyChart that the author's logo is actually the Bone Daddy.
Oh, so, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh, good for them.
So I guess he definitely had a bone that he just needed to do something about.
He wanted to be the bone daddy, I guess.
God fucking damn it.
I love how we're just calling this lich dude like Bone Daddy.
I don't. It's his name started with a Z. I think it might have been Zen or something like that.
I think it was
something
Zen.
like that. That sounds right.
Yeah, but I mean, whatever. Bone Daddy's better.
He showed up for like a total of like an episode and a half.
Yeah, something like that.
It's very strange how the arcs in this show are organized, because like we spend like 6 episodes going through our dude just starting out. But then like you have this guy who literally is the hero from like way back, and then just got pissed and decided to be a villain, and that dude only gets like an episode and a half.
Yeah, he got Count of Monte Cristo'd and then got turned into an undead overlord.
Yeah.
And he's like, come check out my, Skies of Arcadia dungeon. I really want you to go through this. I'm a big Etrian Odyssey fan, and I want you to test this for me.
And then he puts shortcuts in it so you don't even have to like go through the dungeon.
See, the other thing is like...
That was so weird.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, he was another guy that was reincarnated.
Yeah.
Because, like, he had a shitty life to start out, and I guess he was a fan of RPGs or something. They didn't really explain why his shit looked like that. But...
They could have taken the time to do it.
They only, like, mildly hinted at the fact that most likely he was a human that was reincarnated.
Yeah. It feels like that's kind of the MO of this show, that they lightly hint at a lot of things and don't explain systems that probably need to be explained a good bit. Like, like the core premise, and again, this might be nitpicky, and I understand that it doesn't really fucking matter, and it's just here to set up the whole, like, premise of the story itself. But, like, the fact of the matter that he gets into the game, or the parallel world, and uses the meteor spell, and that somehow catapults him into level 310 or something like that from one,
way beyond what anyone's level anywhere in this game ever is.
Not even close.
There's that. Yeah, there's that, but that's not even what I'm concerned about. I don't care about how high his level is. Well, I do care about how high his level is. What I care about is, like, there's no fucking way the enemies he took care of gave him that much goddamn experience.
I was thinking, does this game not have, like, a, how in most games, like, you start killing, like, let's say these enemies are level 50 for the hell of it. You don't just kill a bunch of level 50 enemies and get the same amount of experience as you level up.
It scales.
So as you level up, you're going to get less experience. Unless this game is just utterly broken.
So it was actually really, really badly done, because what we see is him take out a whole bunch of level 50 lizardmen, like an army of them. It's like, okay, he gets he gets a decent amount of experience, especially because he was like level 1. Sure. But then later on, we also find out that there was a dragon in the dragon area that he started in, and it died because of the meteor spell.
And it's an old dragon.
And that gave him most of his experience. But it's said in passing, like episode 8.
But even that, I still don't fucking buy that. Because in an MMO where you're fighting a big fucking dragon out in the middle of nowhere, that's like a raid boss. You're not going to shoot up that many levels from taking out a raid boss once.
Right.
Like, that's not how that works.
You're also not going to kill a raid boss with a singular meteor storm.
Correct.
He did use all 3.
Well, okay.
Even
still,
I understand specifically those items are meant to wipe all enemies from the map. I understand that it's a modified version of the meteor spell, but like even then, it's just I don't know. I don't know why that bugged me so much. I'm just like, that wouldn't have happened in RuneScape, but like I just. I don't know. It's a very nitpicky thing, and again, I understand that it's a conceit to get, like, wildly overpowered guy does MMO shenanigans in a new world. And I mean, like, his whole thing, he says at, like, maybe the end of the second episode is, like, my primary goal is to have fun here in this world and learn some stuff to help me as a game developer. Finding a way to get home is secondary. And, like, mad respect for that. I get that. but
Yeah.
I'm just like, you would not have got that much EXP, buddy.
He's also not showy at all about his abilities, which is nice. Like, he just kind of wants to live this life, which is comfortable.
Yeah, he only vaguely resembles Kirito in appearance. He does not, do Kirito stuff, which is nice.
We've also mentioned this a couple of times, but I will say, to the show's credit, something that I did like was the fact that he is not the only person that is reincarnated into this world. And there's actually several, even though we only meet like 2. But I kind of liked that, because I liked the idea of just like, he doesn't have to be the hero, because there's a bunch of these guys coming into this world. So like, he can just live a comfortable life and let somebody else take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's not a lot of isekai shows, I feel like, that, actually do something with the isekai element. Like,
Right.
It's just kind of like, oh, I've been isekai into the world. It's just, I got to deal with, other things, like, like adjusting to the world or do something like that. But there wasn't really any of that in this show. It was more of just like, oh, like, I'm here now, and it's more than just, I guess what I'm trying to say is the isekai thing is more than just a gimmick. It's more of like an actual like element integrated into the show.
Right.
Which is
It's
nice.
not the typical wish fulfillment that we see of like, I was a nobody in my life, but then I got reincarnated and now I'm the hero.
Right.
Like, in this case, it's more of just like, I got a new start. Okay, cool.
To be fair, it is also a start where he absolutely has more power than he ever would have had.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Any other life he ever had. But yeah, it's very, it's different in tone, I guess.
Yeah.
It is not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just sleaze my way through this whole world as the big power man.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of like, big superhero dude from Konosuba that is just so up his own ass
Oh my gosh.
about how big of a hero he is.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
The blonde guy with the big fucking sword.
Mhm.
Yeah. Who
Right.
they then steal his God-given sword and
Yeah.
sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I kind of like that. I'll tell you something I didn't like.
Huh.
Sure.
That even after the 12 episodes that we see, this fucker is like, man, I hate slavery, but I'm gonna keep slaves.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that was one thing that really puzzled me throughout the whole series.
it doesn't make any sense, because he's like, oh man, slavery's wrong and bad, and then he just ends up with 3 girls that are like following him around, and they're like, okay, you're our master now, and he's like, okay, I guess this is my thing now. And I'm like, you could have just, like, you have $1 bajillion, you easily could have just like bought their contract and freed them and let them go. Like, why the hell are you like, okay, well, I guess slavery's okay now? It's like, what?
Yeah, because I mean, he ends up getting, I think, 7 total girls. Like, he collected the Dragon Balls and shit. Like,
Oh my god.
like
This has
Pochi's
gotten
the little
worse.
cinnamon roll dog girl.
Tama.
Tama's like a absolute fucking gremlin of a cat. Lisa is
Lisa.
her lead guard lizard girl. Arisa's the really horny reincarnated mage girl. Lulu is absolutely nothing. She does nothing.
I mean, you're not
right.
wrong,
Yes,
but
the
it hurts
elf.
to say that. It hurts
You're
to
right,
hear that.
Like Nana is like also an absolute nothing, but it's endearing because she's a homunculus, I guess. I don't know.
And then there's her 7 other sisters.
Yeah, but like he doesn't have anything to do with them.
No, well, but they're like, we'll call you master whenever we get back, but we're
yeah.
gonna go to this guy's grave real quick.
And that's the thing, like, all of these 7 girls, even though he's kind of like, yeah, just do your own thing, y'all. Like, just call him master this whole time. And so that's kind of why I push back against it's not a wish fulfillment kind of thing.
Oh,
Because,
it
I mean,
absolutely is, yeah. But it's like,
come on.
It's instead of being the wish fulfillment of like, now I'm somebody, it's the wish fulfillment of now I can be a creeper and everyone's cool with it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's
very
like
strange. All
yeah,
of it.
because like it's kind of like you say, Kyle. He's clearly like sympathetic to their plight, and I mean his actions in large part seem to be like, a prejudice against people that are different from you is bad, because they make a big show of that in a couple different episodes. But also in like episode, I don't know, 6, I think, once he's picked up like 5 girls to add to his harem, he says something like, they don't deserve to be treated like slaves, but they seem to be more at ease that way, so we'll just keep doing it. Like,
yeah, there was that line. That line stuck out in my brain, and I was
it's
like
the
okay,
what was it?
well, that's something that's happening right now.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. I think the inclusion of that line is what made this whole thing just so much more bizarre to me, I guess. Like, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, I sat at the show and I was like, yeah, this is fine, I guess. I can at least say that it seemed to more just be a basic mechanic of, like, the lore surrounding it. And, you know, no one seemed to be, like, deeply upset by it in the show. So, I mean, like, I guess that's fine. Like, it didn't keep me from watching the show per se. Do I wish that they would have actually done something beyond like saying, they like being treated as slaves, don't worry about it? Like, that's not a good argument, my dude.
That's not okay. It's kind of like the argument that rose out of, what was it, Shieldbane or Shield Hero, where like you had that one girl that's like, no, but I like being a slave, so it's okay. And it's like, no, no. No.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, like, bottom line, it's weird and kind of icky, and it kind of stuck with me through watching the whole series, because how can it not?
Yeah.
Right.
But
yeah, about once every episode, he would just be like, I love these girls, and I'm like, good, free them.
Yeah.
At least once an episode.
Yeah, but like, I think, Matt, you and I were talking just a little bit before we started the podcast, and you mentioned something. Frog-kun put out an article.
The Frog-kun has an article. It was written in 2019 about isekai and slavery. It's a pretty good entire, like, because the most of the article is not, because Frog-kun didn't write most of it. They took like an essay that someone else wrote, and it was translated. And basically kind of went through a bunch of things like, you know, why it's used and all this stuff. And there's a lot of comments of the article as well that they bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want more on that, just go read it. It's a long, there's a lot there. Some of the comments had to be separated into like 2 or 3 separate comments because they were just so freaking long.
Oh, jeez.
So, interesting discussion on just isekais, I guess the structure of isekai and how slavery gets used.
Yeah, kind of slotted in there.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Go read it.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I think we could probably talk about slavery and Death March for quite a while. But I think the fact of the matter is, it does, you know, it takes so, you know, it's so bad at talking about it or handling it. I don't think there's much to do other than shit on it. So
yeah,
maybe reading something that is more in-depth and productive would be a better way to approach that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise I'm just going to sit here and talk about how fucking bonkers it is. Be like, just like Gordon Freeman, you lose your passport? Well, now you're a slave. Like, you're screwed. It's like, what?
Yeah, because I don't know. Because, yeah, last thing I'll say is, you know, to be in the city that Sato gets into, it's like, oh, yeah, here's your visa. You need to renew this after 10 days. If you don't get it done after that, you got to pay a fine. And if you can't pay the fine, you're a slave. And he's like, okay, that's kind of harsh, but okay, I guess.
And it's wild, too, because the guy that explains this literally winks at him. And he's like, so don't do that. And it's like, okay, sir.
It's
interesting.
It's one more thing in a very long list of just bizarre shit about this show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, slavery's bad. Okay.
Cool. Glad we got through that one.
Going back to something that someone said earlier, going back to kind of the structure of the show, did anybody else like actually think the show was tolerable like the first couple episodes and then like just hated it like the rest of it?
I was pretty okay with it from the start because it had some sense of like narrative coherence in a way because you know it felt like a larger connected thing. But as it got further on, and Kyle, you kind of mentioned like talking about how the story went into different arcs, and I think it would be remiss for us to actually call them arcs. I think that's giving it a little too much credit.
No, I mean, yeah, especially when they don't even last sometimes a whole episode.
Yeah, it feels so disjointed, like we're being pulled in so many different directions by this. And I think a lot of that is brought on because it feels like every other episode, Sato is learning. Like, that was actually an accident. It was an accident.
Oh my god.
Kinda...
That was a hell of a slip there, bud.
Oh, fuck me. I mean, can you
slip.
blame me? He's using a magic laser gun. Like, come on. Yeah. What the fuck, dude? But it feels like every other episode he's trying to, like, learn and master some new skill, and so that deviates a good, like, 5 or 10 minutes out of each episode to show, wow, you're good at this thing too, because you can plug more points into this.
It's wild to me that this show focuses more time on the minutia of like him going about his daily life, and then decides to spend way less time with the actual like narrative direction of various things. Where it's like, because, like I said, you spend an episode and a half on Big Bad Bone Daddy. And then we spend, I want to say it was at least 2.5 episodes on just the whole, like, fucking, like, learning to use a cart. Actually trying to be a merchantman, like he keeps telling people he is. and that shit.
Yeah, that was so weird to me. So, after episode 4, when he fought the demon thing in the labyrinth, I was like, oh, okay, well, I kind of understand what the show is like. No, I didn't. Because it seemed like, because I think there was, like, an episode break where, I don't even know what the hell happened. He got more slaves, that happened. And then, there was, some delvation into their character. Well, okay, I hate to call it delving into their character, because... it's really fucking nothing. There's really fucking nothing, but whatever. Anyway, focused on them. And then we got some, plot about Bone Daddy. That happened. And then I feel like the next, two, and like Kyle said, 2 or 3 episodes, we were on picnics. And I was they're eating meat again. And I'm like, I feel like I've seen this scene before already, 7 times.
And it's crazy too, because Bone Daddy, that whole thing ended episode 8, which meant that there was now 9 through 12 of picnics and happy things. Yeah, you had the segment where it was this big bad, oh shit, in any other show this would be the season finale, but then it just spends the last part of the anime just chilling out, having a fun time.
Yeah, he takes a brief break in there to, fight some corrupt nobles and, make some potions and shit. And there's some attempt at dramatic tension there, but, eh. Yeah. And then, after that, it's just, here's a long letter to this old character that also fell haplessly in love with me. And let me recount this picnic that we're doing now. And
that must have been, the most boring letter.
It hops around to so much shit. Okay, episode 6 includes them. They watch a play, and they talk about how they had to change stuff around in the play because it was critical of nobles, and nobles didn't like that, so I had to change that. And then we also, in that same episode, got Sato going out to get medicine for Lulu, and then getting pulled off to go get a blow at a brothel, and then. Also, at the end of that episode, we have them defending the town against flying killer ants.
I almost forgot that happened.
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing, because, plot points happen, at such a pace that, like, they don't have any narrative stakes or value.
They're also
you can forget about it, and it does. Yes, haphazardly. Thank you. That's a great word for it. It just the shit doesn't matter.
They're also...
I mean, like that's kind of the point, because it feels like so little of the stuff actually matters, because it kind of feels like at times I'm not sure what kind of thing Death March wants to be. Because yeah, like you said, Matt, it was pretty tolerable in the first couple episodes, but then like episode 5 on, it just felt like it was trying to switch between so many different modes, like badass fighting Bone Daddy mode, or political intrigue, or picnics and learning alchemy,
or harem shenanigans. Like,
yeah.
I was just so confused of what the show wanted to be.
It also doesn't help that like each of these plot points, whether it's fighting a massive army of like killer ants or going to get medicine, are treated with the exact same amount of like equivalency. Like they're like treated both equally, as if they're both important things, and it's like,
yeah, you know, you're kind of right.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would choose to do that in your story, where it's like, oh, the town is literally being attacked and there's chaos everywhere and there's an army of fucking ants trying to kill people, but that's treated with the same importance as whenever they go see a play.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know. That's it's almost like we're getting into like it's hard to. I don't want to say that, like, you know, the writer didn't know what he was doing, which I don't know if they did or not, honestly. But
well, and it could be like a weird adaptation too.
Well, I think that might be part of it. Is like I think the adaptation of this is playing some kind of role, because like I feel like the way it's structured in the anime, it kind of feels like they took. It kind of feels like a.
It's a highlights video. They took their favorite parts from the novels.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of. So
it's like a mosaic.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it feels like. It's kind of like, oh, I want this to be in there, and this to be in there, and this to be in there, and they're like, okay, well, we'll just make that, and then they just put it together in some order that made logical sense, and then there you go. And honestly, probably a lot of the sense of the reason it's ordered that way, it probably has to do with character introductions. Because I feel like when you have this many characters in a show like this, which, by the way, this show has a lot of characters.
Oh my I have never seen a goddamn harem that has 7 characters just going along with MC.
7 uninteresting characters.
Yeah. And that's on top of the other characters that we also get introduced and actually have some bearing on the plot and other characters.
Yeah.
Like the inn owner and the people that work in the inn, and like the couple of knights that we meet that he befriends and all that.
Yeah. Like, it's also bizarre, but it just kind of I don't know. It's just all like, I don't know. I didn't get any sort of satisfaction from anything that was happening. I was just like, it was literally, I was watching the show and I was watching things happen and I was like, okay, well, that's happening now. Cool. And then the next thing would happen, I'd be like, okay, cool. And then, you know, the next thing would happen, and I'd go, okay. It just became this spiral of, like, I'm just going with it because what else can I do?
Right, it's like, we have to watch this thing. We have no choice but to continue. We can't just drop it.
Not to mention, like, the actual progression of our character, of him, like, actually living in this world. It was like, in Konosuba, it was kind of the joke that even after a full season, they're still in the starting area because they're just that inept. But, like, in this, it's a full season, and I get done with it, and I watch it, and I'm like, is there, like, a season 2 where he actually goes out into this world and explores it? Or is he just gonna chill in this one town? Like, is that all we're doing?
He has gone out to explore it because, like, again, the season end is like he sent a letter from far away.
But he went from one town to, oh yeah, we got to drop off the elf princess, and then he's gonna go back. like, there's really not much exploration as far as that goes.
Yeah,
and it really just feels like he's still just starting out, and I'm like, Okay, it's weird. I don't know why we spent so much time in basically like the very first city that he comes across. If like his whole thing is he wants to explore this world and like get to know things.
Part of me wants to know like how many volumes of the light novel this season adapted.
This is
And, like,
3. I looked that up.
It's 3 volumes.
It's 3 volumes, which is about standard for a 12 episode.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, like, if that's the case, then probably within those volumes, there's a little more time dedicated to, you know, some of the cast and such. So it would make sense that within that space, you're trying to establish this world. And I mean, if it does that in the light novel, like, good job for it. But, like, it really does not succeed in the anime.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like nothing.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, could this actually be like an adaptation problem? Like, is this like what happens when you get like an adaptation failure? Like,
And I mean, it could be,
Maybe, yeah.
but I think there's only so much that you can put on this is a failure to translate well. I really think that given what we have seen, there's only so much we can chalk up to say, well, they didn't adapt it right. There's so much to the core of this shit that is
just
still
bizarre.
completely unexplained. Like the whole scene where they get to these weird ruins and it turns out to be like tori, like Japanese
like the
shrine
shrine
gates.
gates.
Oh, I completely even
Yeah,
forgot
and
about that.
I forgot that happened.
Yeah, and he has a flashback to like this fucking Dojin game that he made where there's some shrine priestess that's talking to him. It's like, come back to this thing. And, you know, he has this whole like spiritual experience with it. And he snapped out of it, and we never go back to any of that.
And it was weird too because
Like,
it was
what?
the same voice that talked to him after he killed Bone Daddy, and it's like
Yeah.
some god character or something that's like, I know I know you're here, and I'm going to mess with you, and it's like, ooh, but then never even fucking mention it ever again.
Why did that even come up then? That's the kind of questions I have
Right.
to ask. Like, why
Right.
did you even bring that up? Which
And the-
I don't know.
The only thing that makes sense to me is like they put those things in there because like what maybe on the off chance this thing gets a season 2, maybe that's important down the line in the, you know, light novels themselves. And so like if you don't establish that, you know, you're not going to be able to, you know, adequately be like, hey, so this thing happened, we didn't talk about it at all in season 1, but here this is.
Yeah.
But you know, in setting up these story seeds for something that seems to be a very, like, long con story element, it just does not translate over well when, you know, you have this season full of shit like that where we get something brought up, like, for a moment, and then it's never discussed again. There are so many things like that in this show that are just like, okay, well, here's this one thing. It's probably important, but don't worry about it, because we're not gonna, you know, talk about why it's important.
Yeah, although I feel like that would have been infinitely more interesting than some of the other tangents we went on. But I guess that's just me.
That's very true. No. I would agree with you there. I would take some mystery over a 15th picnic and, you know, leaf whistles.
That's kind of the thing too, is that like it's just focusing on all the things we don't want it to focus on, and then when something cool comes around, it's just like, yeah, but don't worry about that. We're not going to talk about that.
I don't know, because like I think that all of those weird tangents would be fine if Death March was really focused on just being a slice of life kind of show.
Yeah.
Where it's just unfolding around Sato and his ever growing exponentially harem, and they just have fun times. But like when they try to insert these weird like stakes into things where, I mean, there's obviously not any stakes. You know Sato's not going to have an issue because he's power leveled to hell. Like it just feels meaningless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what the whole show kind of boils down to is the main problem is that everything feels like nothing.
Yes.
Like, and I kind of hate to say it because the show does do some cool things, but like, man, it just, there's so many other things that just drag it down. And it just feels like, I don't know. I feel like the writing is just like, I honestly, it almost feels like, and I don't know if this is true, this is just speculation in my opinion here, but I almost feel like the writer's just trying to avoid writing anything, any interesting plot points. Like, not like interesting, I guess. Like, I just, maybe interesting is not the right word, but just trying to avoid any, like, he's trying to avoid particular issues with the plot, so he's making things like, I don't know, like trying to avoid plot holes and stuff, so it's like a roundabout sort of way. I don't know.
He's trying to skirt around anything with any actual narrative heft, so instead he's like, oh, well, this will be a fun little
he's
set
just
piece.
so dead set on the slice of life element, so whenever something that happens to be like heroic or big epic quest, he's just like, yeah, but let's focus on the picnics though. The picnics.
It's like, I gotta move the plot along somehow, but I don't wanna.
Yeah, so that maybe, I don't know, that this is like my conspiracy theory, that like the plot points are there just to, you know, quickly get them over with, because if you dwell on them too long, you have to tie them into something else later, and then,
right. Yeah.
and like that gets complicated, so I'm gonna simplify it, and then do other stuff, because that doesn't mean anything, and then you know, that's how the story works. That's pest speculation on my part, but which is probably not true. But it's an interesting theory.
I mean that's the kind of formula that would allow a series like this to just go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So, you know, just by having like a small hint of an important plot point that it's like, we'll get to that eventually. We'll get to that later. Here's an immediate thing to get through, and here, that's it. I've done my duty. Let me write the stuff I want to write now.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's not like a terrible show. It's just so meh. It's very just like middle of the road. It does some things good, and then everything else just doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I'm so mixed when I got done with this show. I was like I was looking at it and I was thinking, man, like, I know the show wasn't that bad, but when I look back at it, I'm like, I did not like anything that was happening at all. Production wise, it wasn't horrible. Like, it was tolerable, but in my mind, mentally, I was like, that was horrible.
Yeah, I mean, like
it was so weird.
Like, the last episode ended, and the literal last dialogue exchange that we get in this show is Mia touches Nana's titty, and Nana wakes up and essentially says, that hurt. And that's the last line of dialogue we get in the whole fucking show, because then it just cuts to all the girls running off to do what else but a picnic, and Sato looking out of the cart lovingly at them, and then we shoot to the sky. And I'm like, wow. They really sent this show off on a high note, didn't they? I'm gonna remember this for the rest of my fucking life. And I was just like, this was nothing. I watched 12 episodes of nothing.
I'd rather watch Glasslip again.
I would too. Glasslip at least has more like narrative what the fuck happening. You can at least balk at like, what the fuck happened here? Because with Death March, you know what happened here. Nothing.
Yeah, I didn't hate my time with this show. It's just when I got done, I was like, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't even a show that I would recommend if you just wanted to kill time and you had nothing else to watch.
No, I mean,
I guarantee you there's something else you can watch besides this. Fucking, that's worth your time.
If you want to watch a, like, video game style like epic quest where somebody's overpowered in slice of life, go watch Bofuri. Season 2 is coming out. Like, go watch that. That's actually at least entertaining.
Watch Bofuri. Watch Konosuba. Honestly, I'll see. Watch 8th Son from this season. I like 8th Son more than this. I'm astonished. I thought 8th Son was going to be boring as shit, but I love 8th Son. It's a lot of fun. It's not a great show, but it's fun.
What happened to the other sons, though?
You don't want to know. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Are you kidding me?
There are so many...
Sorry.
I fucking love you. God. It's just... within this genre of stuff, there are so many better shows that you can watch. Yeah. And the better shows aren't all even good. Like, you have choices. Don't make this your choice.
I mean, heck, if you're going to watch the anime, at least go read the novel, because at least I know that, you know, this is kind of like the law of randomness, but, like, I just feel like the novels would probably be a better use of your time than the anime, simply because I know what the anime's like, and there can't be a lot of things worse than that. So, like, like just in terms of time spent and investment gotten back. So
yeah, it's a fucking dumpster fire. I'm just like, more than anything, and this is like maybe my last thought about this, because I don't know what more I could possibly say besides just shitting on this show. But I'm so fucking mad that, Matt, as you mentioned, I started the show and dropped it when it was airing, and I got pulled the fuck back in to watch this steaming heap of shit. I'm so fucking mad I got pulled back to watch this.
Yeah. I'll never forget that reaction you had when that happened. It was just a sigh of despair.
Yeah. I'm glad that I feel validated in a way.
Yeah.
Like,
congrats.
You felt like first time you did the right thing. The first time you did the right thing, but then you had no choice the second time.
I guess you could say this was our Death March.
Please don't watch Death March. Like, this is different from me saying, like, please don't watch Handshakers. Like, this is just, please don't watch Death March. It's just, this is more like a sigh of defeat.
Yeah.
Like,
Handshakers, we're telling you not to watch it because you'll puke. With this, we're telling you not to watch because it's just not worth your time.
Yeah,
at
one's
all.
a health hazard, the other is just boring.
Yeah. I think that's good.
Yeah, that about wraps it up.
I think that's it. I think we can, cut this and shoot it out, boys.
Yeah, I think that's great.
May we never have to fucking watch this again.
Thank God.
Catch everybody for the next one.
Yeah.
Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Bye. Hey, thanks for listening. As always, you can find all our podcasts, articles, videos, etc. at thebackloggers.com. Our intro and outro song is The Bear by Shell in the Pit, who you can find on Spotify and Bandcamp. And we'd love to hear from y'all in the comments on our site, on the podcast platform of your choice, or by reincarnating into our podcast by falling asleep at work. I don't make the rules here, that's just how it is. And as always, we're on Twitter at @the_backloggers, so pull up a log and stop in for a bit.